Hi everybody, welcome on in. It's Goldsbane here. Welcome to my little corner of the internet on YouTube here. I have been talking on my floss tubes about doing some other types of videos, and this is the first in the series of things to do in Central Florida when you're on a budget. I've talked about doing some volunteer work and about the haunted tours at the Museum of Seminole County History. I was up there yesterday and decided to do a walkthrough. So this is going to be a little bit longer video, but it's going to be also a basic walkthrough of the main building of the museum. The museum itself currently has two buildings that are open to the public. There is a third, but that has not been set up for public exhibition yet. It's being renovated, and a carriage collection is going to be put in that building. It's got a lot of work yet to go before that's opened. And there's also the grounds to walk through. A couple of benches and some open areas. You'll get a peek of that, but not a whole lot. There were people out there. There was actually a kind of a reenactment. It's not a full reenactment, but an example of what an encampment, a military encampment, would look like. Just like a small group. I think there were maybe 10 people out there. Over the weekend, so you'll get a little peek of that as well. This is going to be a little bit longer video, and because this is my first time doing an actual walkthrough, I was looking at watching some of the video itself, and there are some quick movements of the camera that makes it a little bit wobbly. So if you get seasick, if you get motion sickness, be warned that that's going to happen, and I apologize now. I will get better as time goes on. It's just going to take a little bit of practice. But yeah, this is the museum where I volunteer, or one of the museums where I volunteer, the main one. And we're going to be going through a quick walkthrough. Welcome to the Museum of Seminole County History. As you can see on that sign, this used to be the old folks' home where people would come if they didn't have anybody to take care of them as they aged, and a lot of people died on the grounds as a result of this. This is just the facade and the doorway. As you can see, good hours, and admission is low, $3 for adults. Seniors, students, and kids, it's only $1, and you can spend a good afternoon in here. I have done it many times. This is the little gift shop. It's one of the first things you see as you come in the door. You are asked to sign in that little logbook as soon as you come in. Because it is funded by the county, that does help with the funding when you sign in. There is a board of things to do and various upcoming events. And the museum office is right there by the front door. So if anybody on staff is available, they're either going to be in the office or back in the area behind that swinging door. But there's normally somebody around, and the doors chime when you come in, so people know that you're there. The first thing you'll see as you walk through, this is the temporary exhibit area. As you can see, it's all about disasters right now. Actually getting ready to change that out before too long. This has been up for a little while. This is about disasters in Seminole County. All sorts of various things. There's the fire department. We've got the police department. As we walk through this little area there, coming up, this is all about epidemics and diseases. And it's everything from the Spanish flu all the way up to COVID-19. So we keep our information, or they keep the information, I should say, fairly current, up to date. Also includes things like the Great Toad Invasion and the mice infestation, in which county services had to be called out to take care of these infestations. Now, because this is Florida, freezes are considered a natural disaster, and the crops have been taken out multiple times by blizzards, which hugely impacted the income for the state. There's also man-made disasters like the Pulse nightclub, the Cold War, and yes, that is one of the authentic red phones. And the shooting of Trayvon Martin was in town. That is local. And of course, things beyond the Florida borders or the county borders in which state officials have gone out. As we move into this room, this is what we know as the DAR room, but it is the beginning of military history and going into the Daughters of the American Revolution. Now, one thing that is encouraged, you'll see that little blue target there. When you see that little blue target, it means you are encouraged to go through and touch and read through things, or there are some toys or some things that you can play with and experiment with. And that is encouraged. Now that certificate is on the floor for reasons that will only become clear if you come to the haunted tours, October 10th, 11th, and 12th. That is Maud Eleanor Ray. She is involved, and this room it does feature in the haunted tours. And we move into this room, which is further military history. All of the weaponry, except for the pike, is behind closed and locked glass. This little table is set up for you to try on some of the military gear. That's a little bit about the Seminole Wars. And again, all behind closed and locked glass except for that pike. Excuse the clock. As we move out into the hallway, there was a lot of segregation in Florida because it is a part of the South. Less in Florida than in a lot of places, but it definitely still exists. So we have this little hallway that has a lot of information about historically colored communities or African American communities. Depends on who you talk to. But it's a very important part of the history, and we do try to honor that. And then as you move down this wing, this was the men's wing. We're obviously going into the area of transportation. This is the room of Henry, Henry, and Henry. One Henry had a lot to do with the steamboats and the citrus. Another Henry had a lot to do with the railroads coming into Florida. And the third Henry is who the city of Sanford is named after. And he was a diplomat, European diplomat. Don't forget to look up. There's stuff everywhere. And don't forget to look down. There's stuff on the floor, too. This next room is set up as kind of what a general store would have been in the earlier part of the 20th century, and a little bit earlier than that, later 19th century. This is what would have been available, everything all in one place. This room also features in the haunted tours. And there's more stuff to play with. That's a bottle capper, bottle topper. And then we go across the hall. Some of the women's societies. And that door has a wheelchair ramp. The museum is fully wheelchair and stroller accessible. This is the size of one of the rooms that one of the people would have been able to stay in. This is actually Sam's room, what we know as Sam's room. It is set up with medical equipment, and Sam's room also features in the haunted tours. This room is dedicated to teaching and schools in Seminole County. We go back out into the hallway and back into the temporary exhibit area. I hope you'll excuse that little blip where we go back over again. There was somebody that came in and I had to greet them. I was volunteering. They needed to go. This room is the parlor, and everything in this room was donated by one family, or the majority of things in this room was donated by one family, and they actually came in and set it up like the parlor in the home where it came from was set up. So this is accurate to what the parlor would have looked like in that home. This room also features quite heavily in the haunted tours. And this little green seat here, the one time people are allowed to sit in it is during the haunted tours. People are encouraged to sit down and take photos for a reason. Hi. I didn't see any, I didn't capture any, but That's the room where a lot of orbs are seen in photos. That's where most of them are caught. Ladies' restroom. The technology room. We have a lead-painted voter's ballot box. So we have information on how votes had been cast, including one of the infamous AccuVote boxes. That whole thing with the 2016 election and how the votes were not accurately counted, that's one of those boxes. The evolution of the typewriter. One of the first mobile computers, which has enough memory to be able to type one period today. Different payment devices, credit card machines. Now, for those of you who are of an age, you are actively encouraged to come in and play the original Super Mario Kart. And there are other games on that computer as well. From here we go into the doctor's room. That is a female exam table. This is Dr. French and information about him and his family. He was a Civil War doctor. He wrote that book that's on that table. It's information on surgical procedures and medical treatments during the Civil War. The family was important to Seminole County and to Sanford. And the emergency services room. I haven't gotten to play with the payroll book yet, and I'm going to get there eventually. This room also features heavily in the haunted tours because of the guy in the middle in the cowboy hat. As well as that judge's robe. This is the door that most people use to go in and out. There's 4 stairs. As you can see, somebody was drawing smiley faces. It was a bit humid. It's Florida. It's going to be humid. And here's where we peek outside. There's the second building that's open to the public. And that gentleman in the black hat and the green pants leaned over by the tent there, that is the man thing. You've seen him. He exists. We're going back down through to the temporary exhibit area again. And then off to the real disaster. This little bit on the left was some of the exhibit about religion in Seminole County. There was an issue with the storage, and part of the storage is being rebuilt. So this whole area exploded with things that were in storage, a lot of maps and papers and just a lot. It's normally not quite this bad. This is the research area, and it does have the library and different files and photos and microfiche and Those are the microfiche readers. There's a computer for public use. Normally you can walk through this. There's more than just a little bitty pathway. This area is where the caretaker and his family used to live. So this was their personal sitting area. You can kind of see back there. We've got a little music corner set up and information on linens and things like that because it was more domestic. We do have a table set up, a small child's desk. That little red rocker also features in the haunted tour. So we go through the entire museum. We actually start in the back building and come through. This is what their formal parlor was. But you can't, again, because everything had kind of exploded from the storage, you can't really get in there. I love that lampshade. It's just amazing, amazing. That room is more map storage back there. I'm trying to be careful walking through here just because there's so much. The kitchen. So we do have information on cooking and household items. They have the coolest wood-burning stove. One day I will have a really cool stove. Today is not that day. The kitchen also features in the haunted tours. The bathroom does not. This bedroom, however, has a story. As you can see, it's a fairly well-rounded little museum. It's actually much larger than what most people expect coming up to the building because it just looks like a large house, a spread-out house. But it's big, and there's a lot in there. There's also in the secondary building the archives. That's the word. The archives of the Sanford Herald, which is the local newspaper, going back to essentially the founding of the newspaper. We've got more information on the Native American peoples. We have the remains of the senator, the big tree that got burned down. Or at least some of the remains. There's a lot going on there, and my role as I go and volunteer is either as a guide, especially during the haunted tours, because that's my jam. I love doing that every year. That's the greatest thing. I love it. Or the other thing that I specialize in the museum is reading all the handwriting. So all of the what is going on with the camera? Camera, stop it. Stop it. There we go. So all of the handwritten documents that are up on the walls and things, I'm the person that can read them. or I'm the person that has the easiest time reading them. What I'm actually working on right now is it's a 1,000-ish page book of legal letters from Thomas E. Wilson, who was practicing out of Sanford, and they're all from, I believe it's 1868. It's either 68 or 78, I can't remember. And this was a book that's the carbon copies, so it's not the original letters, it's the carbon copies of the letters on onion skin paper, bound in a book that was found in a dumpster in the rain in the 70s and was donated to the museum a few months ago. And the museum director, Bennett, hi Bennett, contacted me. He's like, I have something for you. And I went, okay. And that's an ongoing project. So that's what I do there for the most part, at least for right now. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But absolutely great little museum. Again, it's $3 for an adult, and you could spend all afternoon and just have a time, learn some things, play with some stuff, look at a few things, ask questions. We love when people ask questions. There's some really, really cool stuff in there. In fact, if anybody has any questions about anything you saw or anything else, ask me. That's what the comments are for. Engage. Like, follow, ask questions. I will have conversations with the comments. It's great. Or if there are enough questions, I will absolutely 100% record an entire video just answering questions about things. That'd be amazing. Let's do that. Just make sure if I don't know you have questions that I can't answer them. So that's my big thing. Just make sure. Interaction, man. Interaction's great. Let's go. Rock on. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's in the Museum of Seminole County History. It's on the southern end of Sanford on 1792. Technically, if you look up the information, it's technically on a side street, but you can see it. Like the traffic, as I was panning through the traffic that you saw at the very end when I was recording the video of the front of the building, the facade, that's 1792. So that's a major road. It's right next to the fire station. There's the fire station, then the museum, and then all of the police and sheriffs and all that is right there. And the courthouse is right there, and everything is right in that little block. So absolutely go by, say hi to Bennett, tell him I sent you. Or if I'm there, come say hi to me. I do go in. I was actually asked to come in a little bit more often because they are needing some help, so I'm going to be there a little bit more often. And that's going to be amazing. So cool. All right, well, that's what I have for you today. Please let me know if this is something you would like to see more of, if you'd like to see more of the museum, some of the parks in the area. I mean, there's a bunch of state parks, there's city parks, there's I can count off the top of my head like a dozen museums in the area that are low cost or no cost. There are free museums in the area as well. So that's absolutely something that I could explore, we could talk about. Let me know. Let me know what you want to see. I'm open to this. And until next time, thank you so much for stopping in and spending some time with me. I do appreciate it. I love each and every one of you. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.